everybody, and welcome to Take Two Radio Music. I'm Pam, your host, and today we're doing something a little different. I'm not going to be playing my hour of indie music. We have a special guest with us today, and before I get to him, I wanted to welcome our special co-host, which is Michael Ricucci of Terrorizing Records. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks so much, Pam, for having me. Really excited about the show and Taylor coming on today. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and I do believe our guest is on the phone, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. Today we're very excited to welcome the most beloved American Idol winner, singer, songwriter, Taylor-Hicks, and let's see if this is him on the phone.
How are
Hi,
you guys?
Taylor. Yes.
Hey, Taylor.
How's it going?
Great. How are you today?
Doing really good, really well. It's very nice and sunny out here in California.
Oh, okay. And I think Michael's out in California, right? Or Michael, where are you in?
No, I'm actually in Washington, D.C. right now. We'll be back out in California in October. Yeah, but I'm here in the nation's capital right now.
Yeah, what are you doing out there, Mike? What are you doing out there in the nation's capital?
I'm the founder and CEO of Terrorizing Records, and we're filming a documentary featuring music therapy and the power of music to heal and connect through children with autism or Alzheimer's patients. And we're trying to use the documentary really to show the true impact of music, art, and dance therapy for all sorts of different people, cross-generational and cross-spectrum. So really excited about the project. Thanks for asking, Taylor.
Yeah, that sounds really wonderful, actually. It sounds like a really wonderful thing.
Well, I appreciate that. We're actually planning our second U.S. tour to wrap filming this fall. Hey, if you're ever on the road or there's a chance to catch up with you, man, we'd love to talk to you.
Well, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, I would love to do that. I would be thrilled to. Yeah, we'll just make sure that our paths cross.
Well, absolutely, and thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, and I'm here in sunny Chicago, one of the few sunny days that we've had.
Well, I'm hoping they all stay sunny for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, before we get started on what's going on now for you, I'd like you to tell our listeners how you got your start in music, if they've been living in a bubble, that is, and who and what inspired you.
I guess I've always been singing, ever since I can remember. I started listening to, luckily started listening to Ray Charles at a very early age, which, allowed me to be able to work on inflection and emoting, because he had such an emotional presentation to his vocal style. Right. Then I started teaching myself instruments, and I think when I started excelling at self, at some of the instruments that I started learning to play myself without any formal training, I figured that that was God's way of telling me that I needed to stick to the goal. And, it's never easy when you're talking about catching a break in, a business that's, that you have such astronomical odds against you.
Right.
But, I find it when I talk to people, there is a very common thread in between those people that make it, and it's just you don't really see anything else other than the goal that you're trying to achieve, and it's almost like tunnel vision. So musically speaking, I obviously started writing my own records, right around high school, and American Idol was kind of like a 13-year overnight success story, I like to say. But I've played every roadhouse and played every venue that I could, anywhere that I could. I think opportunity creates luck, especially in this business, with, for who you meet. And I think fate has a lot to do with it, too. I was one of the last taxi cab rides out of Hurricane Katrina, and, drove to West Monroe, Louisiana when the storm passed, and 15 hours of contraflow traffic, and then I got a Southwest give me a free voucher anywhere in the country when I got back home to my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. I pulled in the airport with my little rent-a-car and decided I'd never been to Vegas before, and I flew to Vegas on a whim, and then I got there about midnight, close to 1, and then my brother called me back home from Birmingham and said American Idol tryouts are in 2 hours. So I went and took a taxi ride down to the convention center and stood in line at 4 a.m. after all of this had happened and ended up winning American Idol. So I think, when you're talking about fate, you have to have that part, you have to have a good karma wheel.
Right. Follow your gut instincts. That's such an inspirational story. I mean, I absolutely love that. You went, you were meant to be there. That's all there was to it.
Yeah, I, like I said, opportunity creates luck, and you just never know sometimes. You never know when the stars will align, and it'll happen for you. But I'm very blessed. I always like to say you have to have your ducks in a row on, upstairs, and as much as you have to have them in a row downstairs,
right.
so to speak. So, I think that plays a big part, and it's just one of those things where after following instinctively, my musical path, I've been able to, have a platform to do that still.
Well, it's wonderful. Over 63 million viewers voted for you, and over 37 million viewers tuned in to see you win. What did that feel like? What emotions ran through you in those few minutes?
I just, I hope that, I guess it would just come full circle. I mean, I had such a focus when I was a kid to perform, and to entertain people. It just, I think at that point in time, I think it just kind of came full circle that, this is what I was meant to do, and hopefully I can still keep doing it.
Well, you do it very well.
I love the way that you said opportunity creates luck. I think that's really smart. And I know you have a baseball background, and I used to coach college baseball, so I know I developed that through athletics and playing music. I'd love to know, and I did watch the season where you performed on American Idol, and was just blown away by your absolute engagement of your audience, no matter where you were, whether it was an interview or just on stage. When did you realize how important your fans were? Was it something you thought about before you started playing, or did it develop as you were, kind of as you were growing as an artist later? Or what was the process for that?
Well, the process was, when you don't really understand when you go through a television show. I mean, I think it's, the balancing act is between television and music. That particular, the show is based on visual stimulation, and as much as it is visual stimulation, and you also have to create records that people will hear in their respective houses or cars that do not have that visual stimulation or that visual. So it was very important that music, was a big part of that. But also, it's just one of those things. You have to, you just have to take the bull by the horn, so to speak.
I mean, what was the interaction? I mean, and I saw, I was seeing it on TV and saw how into it you were. Has that interaction changed after you won? Has it grown? I mean, do you feel like you have to come up with some, new ideas to try to connect with them, or do you stay consistent with what's always worked?
I think reinvention. I think reinvention is. I've always said that. I think reinvention is. You always have to get. You always have to You have to reinvent yourself in this business. You have to do things that people. You have to come to the party first, and do things that. Other entertainers haven't done or haven't thought of, or. You just have to keep reinventing yourself, and I think that's what keeps, I think that's what builds new fans, and then I also think that's what keeps, keeps the old fans excited. So I think I think you really have to do a lot of reinventing, so to speak.
What would I think that's really smart, because I think a lot of people, the term I would use is stay static. They don't, they're not dynamic, and they try to just keep doing the same things. I mean, what would you tell a young artist who might have stage fright or clams up? What advice would you give somebody, about engaging the audience and making that a part of your show?
I think that sometimes you have to just kind of throw caution to the wind and just go for it. I think, you can't be shy. You're a performer, you're an exhibitionist, so to speak, whether it be through music, dancing or whatever. So I think you just have to, it's almost like you have to get into a character, and just, really just throw caution to the wind and go for it.
No fear. I like that.
Yeah. Well, your self-titled album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and was certified as RIAA Platinum. How many songs did you write before you put the album together? And how do you choose which ones go on it?
Well, that particular record was, it was hard. That was kind of a tough record to put all together, because I think we made that record in 9 weeks, after my Idol win, and it was just it was kind of a tough thing to do, creatively, and but we pulled it together, and I like that record a lot. A little bit of writing of some of my older songs mixed in with other people's music, and I thought it was a good combination, and I really like some of the songs on there.
I think your fans would totally agree with that. After you won, you released Do I Make You Proud, which hit number 1 on several charts. What was it like to hear your song for the first time on the radio?
I think it was a long time coming. I think I was, from a really grand perspective, I went down to, some of my local radio stations, and I think they played one song of mine when I was like 19 at like 3:45 in the morning, but you know what, I'll take it,
Right.
So I think that this was, this particular, that particular thing is just really, it was very honored to have, your music be played on radio. It's just, that's not an easy thing to do.
It sounds like an exciting time. It really does. And Taylor, I actually had posted some questions for or the link to the show, so your fans could come and post questions, because I do know how important they are to you. So I'd love to be able to ask you questions actually from your fans. And Holly, speaking of the album, Holly from Connecticut would love to find out if you're working with anybody in particular on this album, if there's some special guests or any surprises that some of your fans might be able to expect this time.
I think I've been asked that question a lot